Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. Today I will be reacting to and analyzing Hamilton at the 70th Annual Tony Awards. I really wanted to do one with the new version that's on Disney, but I am scared too, and we tried and tested out the ability to, and it already got blocked. So don't ask for that anymore because it's likely not gonna happen. But here's some Hamilton.
Give it up for the company of Hamilton.
Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. But remember, from here on in, history has its...
I liked his aw vowel. Here on in. He uses some of those really round, warm vowels, and then he kind of relaxes it. And that gives us a little bit of textural variety in his sound, where not everything sounds homogeneous. And you need that in pop styles of music. You need that in all styles of music. If we have classical music that sounds too much the same all the way through, it doesn't tell the story, because people are not homogeneous. And so we just need to let that sound kind of come out. That said, when I make these little vowel changes, it's usually to not try to like completely reduce the spectrum of sound that people are able to make. It's that I hear on certain pitches or certain notes or whatever that it just isn't working quite as well, and making those little adjustments can help. But so far, there's nothing that I would adjust with this.
History has its eyes on you.
I love that chord and that little crescendo. That sounds so good. I think that this show needs to be seen to really understand it and feel it. Obviously, a lot of people were not able to see it live, and it was really difficult for people to see it live on Broadway. And I know that the ability for people to see it live has really gotten better over the years because of tours and because of now the Disney performance of it, which I thought was beautiful. I thought it was so well done, but I didn't understand this show until I saw it on that Disney performance. I still haven't seen it in the theater, and I'm sure that if I did, that would take it to a whole other level for me. I didn't feel the music as much as it seemed a lot of people did, and I needed that visual component to really get it. But I was just so totally moved, and some of it is just because, I'm in this performance desert right now where we're not able to see performances at this high of a quality very often live or in person, and it just was done really, really well. Anyway, I love what they're doing. I also think Lin kind of brought back the baritone role, where we are very much in a land of tenors right now. And Lin wrote for himself, and he is not a tenor. I don't think Lin is a very well-trained voice. Not that baritone means untrained, but I do think that he never really learned how to sing high notes in a way that would work well for him. And if he had learned how to, he probably would have written some of this a little higher. And because of that, Hamilton, when everything is together, you get this full spectrum of sound where you've got like really good high soprano stuff all the way through nice low voices, and it just works quite well.
The Battle of Yorktown, 1781.
Monsieur Hamilton!
Monsieur Lafayette!
In command where you belong!
Are you saying no sweat? We're finally on the field. We've had quite a run.
Immigrants,
We get the job done.
I think David is probably my favorite part of this whole thing. He's just such an energetic performer. He's got a great voice. He uses all of these different sounds in his voice, but it doesn't sound grating, even though he uses so many really aggressive sounds. I just think he's a phenomenal talent.
What happens if we win?
I go back to France. I bring freedom to my people if I'm given the chance.
We'll be with you when you do.
Go lead your men.
See you on the other side.
Till we meet again. Let's go.
also really enjoy the Tony performances most of the years. Most years that I watch the Tonys, I really enjoy the performances because they're just what you would see in a Broadway theater. They are actually performing in theaters. The people who are running the sound are theater people. The people who are performing are theater people. You're not getting too much different. And so you can hear a lot of the true colors of the voice, even though it's amplified. And I love that. Like, it feels so good to hear actual voices singing and to hear what those voices sound like without additional coloring. And I think that I do really love, cast albums, but a lot of times they still start adding things in different ways, at least in the last little while. And with pop music and rock music and everything, that we add things, we adjust the sound after it's been recorded. And so for me, this is just so authentic. And as a vocal nerd, it really matters to me to be able to hear what a voice actually sounds like as close to the source as possible. And as someone who's trying to learn about the voice, I think that it's important for you to also value that and to start making these judgments. Am I hearing an actual voice? What am I hearing on top of it? What is worth trying to recreate and what is worth just saying, no, that's a computer doing that?
That's so much it feels more like a memory. This is where it gets me. On my feet, the enemy ahead of me. If this is the end of me, at least I have a friend with me. Repping with my hands, a command, and my men with me. Then I remember my Elias is expecting me. Not only that, my Elias is expecting. So we gotta go, gotta get the job done.
Lin always sounds like he's crying, which works sometimes, but I don't hear the kind of variety in his voice that you hear with any of the other performers in this cast. If you like Lin's voice, that's great. That is totally fine. From a subjective aesthetic thing, it is not my favorite voice to hear. That doesn't take away at all from the brilliance that he has as a performer or as a songwriter, composer, storyteller, any of those things, because I think that he is a generational talent. I don't know if he's taken voice lessons. It just doesn't sound like it. And when you put people who have that kind of a voice next to all of these others, I think it very much starts to stand out. Yeah, he's a good performer. Like, I feel like he's got the energy of this character down really well. I just would love to hear a little bit more variety in the colors that he uses in his voice.
Start a new nation, gotta meet my son. Take the bullets out your gun, the bullets out your gun. We move undercover and we move as one. Through the night we have one shot to live another day. We cannot let a stray gunshot give us away. We will fight up close, seize the moment and stay in it. It's either gotta meet the business end of a bayonet. The code word is Rochambeau, Diggy. Rochambeau! You have your orders now, go man, go. So the American experiment begins with my friends all scattered to the winds. Lawrence is in South Carolina.
One thing it really struck me watching this with the Disney version, which I really recommend, like, go watch it, steal it from your parents if they have Disney, whatever you need to do in order to watch this. I think it is that valuable of an experience if you are someone who likes music and singing and live music. It's just like, you've got to be aware of what's out there. And even if you haven't felt as drawn to it, like, honestly, it took a long time for me with this one, but it is so worth watching.
Redefining bravery will never be free until we end.
The thing I was gonna say, I didn't notice it until I saw the whole thing. Obviously, how would I notice it from just listening with the staging? So much of this is based around, like, the person who is performing is just dead center and just a little bit downstage. Like, they're not all the way upstage, which is good, because I think that whoever's singing, it generally is stronger for me for them to be a little bit downstage. Sorry, for them to be a little bit upstage. I always forget. I'm always so bad at this. I'm a terrible theater person. But upstage, downstage. Upstage is toward the back because, yes, right, because a lot of stages are tilted and they have the back of the stage is kind of up a little bit higher. And so that's upstage because it's physically higher so that people who are in the back are able to see everything a little bit better. It's like, instead of looking at a totally flat stage, it's tilted a little bit and it makes it a lot easier to see everything. So with that in mind, again, everyone is a little bit upstage. They're not all the way at the front. And I think that a lot of people default to trying to just sing from the very front of the stage, and they're like, that's where I should be if I'm singing a solo, and even if everyone is around me. I don't think that works as well, because if you're a little bit down upstage like that, I do it again. If you're a little bit upstage, then everyone in front of you, you can react to them, and you don't have to turn your back in order to start looking at people, because you see them there. Just an interesting thing with the way that this was staged was, everyone is kind of moving around the person who is in the middle. Would I change that? No, this is freaking brilliant, but it's just an interesting observation.
Slavery, when we finally drive the British away, Lafayette is there waiting in Chesapeake Bay. How did we know that this plan would work? We had a spy on the inside, that's right.
Till a spying on the British government. I take the measurements information and then I smuggle it to my brother's revolutionary covenant. I run with the sons of liberty and I am loving it. See, that's what happens when you up against the ruffians. We in the somebody's gotta shovel it. Hercules.
I love the self-editing that they're doing. A lot of times you see people go perform on TV and they don't self-edit, and then they just a lot and you miss a ton of it. So I love that they did that, and that he's aware of it and he practiced it. The styles that they use of rapping in this, it's very reminiscent of a lot of older rappers. Like with this one, I hear a lot of Busta Rhymes. I'm not sure if he was trying to channel Busta with that, but you hear that kind of tone. If you haven't listened to Busta Rhymes, go listen to some Busta Rhymes. He's amazing. He's a very generous, nice man too. Like one time I saw him in an airport and I was a stupid boy, and I walked up to him while he was trying to put on his shoes, and I was like, hey man, I'm such a big fan, and he just, without looking up, thank you. And just the fact that he was able to like do that. I know that he goes through that every day of his life, but it wasn't a, hey man, come on, I'm putting on my shoes, and like, come on Sam, he's putting on his shoes. But he's just a nice person.
We negotiate the terms of surrender. I see George Washington smile. We escort the men out of Yorktown. They stagger home single file.
And still I'm stagger home single file. Everything sounds like he's gonna cry. And it works, but I mean, try something else, man.
The world turned upside down. 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 Down, 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 down.
Freedom for America, freedom for France.
Gotta start a new nation, gotta meet my son.
So with what Lafayette just did, the freedom for France, it all was a little more turned over. It wasn't. It's a high note. It's an A. So if he held on to just the very chesty sort of feeling while he was singing that, it would not work as well. Whenever guys get up that high, even if it's going to be an aggressive sound like this, you have to let it turn over. You have to let it move up into your head a little bit. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time. If you are a lower voice person singing high, you're going to have a bad time if you get too used to that lower feeling. And I notice it mostly with lower voices. However, sometimes with high voices, you see the same sort of thing, at least now, where, on the radio, high voice singers, they sing so much in chest voice, which is great. I love the sound, but like, it's something to watch out for with your training, to make sure you are always accessing your head voice and that you're not getting too stuck in that lower kind of place. But it's a really energetic sound. So that's what was really difficult for me to figure out, as someone who it took a long time to figure out how to sing high and who's still trying to get really comfortable with it. I had this expectation that singing high was going to feel as robust as it sounds, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. So I would challenge everyone to look at parts of the voice that they assume will sound or will feel a certain way, and try to lose those judgments. Try to focus instead on what is objective, rather than, well, it doesn't feel like what I thought it would, therefore it's bad. That's not always the case. And that's where having a good voice teacher or someone who you really trust is really important. Because you can be like, hey, I'm making this sound. Does it sound okay? Does that sound like I'm on the right path? Because a lot of times our bodies will just lie about things like that where, because when I was growing up, I had this big honker of a voice. You feel that. You feel it a lot. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in your throat from pushing. You feel all of this stuff, and then you get rewarded for it, for having this big voice and for pushing and for all of these things. And it affirms that what you're doing is good. But like, I couldn't sing above an FF sharp until way too late. Like, I performed some stuff that went up there, but when I was in high school performing Valjean, I only went up to the A in One Day More once during the run of the show because it was way too inconsistent. And I really had that strong belief that it was going to feel a certain way, and it's just not the case.
We won!
I liked seeing Leslie Odom's face with that upside. You could see him kind of rounded. It wasn't side. It had that rounder kind of place, which it just changes the sound. But when you're singing in this group setting, if everyone was singing upside, it wouldn't blend together very well. So rounding the vowel just a little bit like that is helpful for singing in a group. And I do think that it's actually helpful for everyone who is just singing solo to learn how to sing from that place. It does not mean that you won't be able to sing that brattier, bigger sound, the not bigger mouth sound, which is very appropriate for certain styles of music. It just means that it becomes a choice. So I love that. You can see a lot of these things that they're doing, even if you can't hear that exact person, you could assume what he's sounding like when singing that just by looking at his face. Yeah, they're really, really good. I wish so much that this had some more variety of the songs. The songs chosen in this, I don't feel as strongly about compared to some of the other songs in this show. Like the Schuyler Sisters stuff is so top notch. Oh my gosh.
And when I meet Thomas Jefferson, I'm gonna compel him to include women in the sequel. Right!
I wish that they had shown some of that in this because I didn't know any of it until last week, like how good it was when it's live. I wish that we had seen more of the Philip, because he's probably my favorite singer other than David and the Schuyler Sisters, who like really are just on another level. You didn't see some of those people, and if I was the marketing person for this, obviously they did a great job, but like I would have loved to show that to more people, how strong those performances are. Not that this show needed to be marketed, like that's the thing. And I don't know, I guess I've just been feeling kind of ripped off that I never got to see it, and that I held such strong, not resentment, but like misunderstanding of the show for a long time, and that in my opinion, I let the stan culture dictate how I felt about this show slightly, and that's unfair to the work. And that's unfair to the performers. And I wish that I had seen it earlier, just so that I could have lived the last few years of my life understanding it a little bit more. I feel like I always understood how strong it is to be able to see people who look like you while you're watching high-level performances, and that a lot of people who look like these performers have not had that. And that sucks. That's really unfair. It's very unfair that people who look like me dominate all of this, and that darker skinned people don't see that that's possible. And it really sucks. I wish that I've understood that, but like not to the level that seeing it most recently, it really broke me. And I wish that I could have seen that earlier. But now I think everyone has that opportunity, and so please go watch it. Go see some of these amazing things. Is it a perfect musical? No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of stuff that like I just don't care for, both in terms of like Lin as the performer. I think that I would have some different feelings if I saw anyone else, and just other parts of it. Like nothing is, I think, like that perfect. There's always things that you can find issue with, but just as a generational piece, humanity deserves it. Young performers deserve to see more diversity on stage. I think that the strongest thing with this is now people can grow up thinking they can write new, innovative works. I think it's a turning point piece. So go watch it. And I hope that you learned something from this. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with your friends. Leave a comment below if you learned something. Leave a comment below if you liked the video. And go check out the links in the description. I have links to my Instagram, which I don't use as much. My Twitter, which I just love to post a lot of stupid stuff on. My Discord, which is a beautiful community. And if you are someone who loves to perform, or just wants to and is too scared, I have never met a group of people that is more accepting of others and encouraging of others, and I'm really proud to be associated with that at any level. So go check that out in the link below. Thank you.